I was originally going to do this in an FAQ Friday, but the answer ended up being too long and it ended up being a majority of the video, so I decided to make a dedicated video for the question about the Razer Siren microphone and USB microphones in general. I'm having trouble getting my computer to recognize my Razer Siren USB microphone. So I had a concise answer for this that I thought was actually pretty obvious, but it might be a few things. At first I thought it could just be the software, which is Razer Synapse. You do have to have that installed in your computer in order for the microphone to work. Another issue is the fact that it is USB. I know that that's one of the conveniences of the mic, but the cord that it comes with is what looks like a nicely threaded, high quality mini USB that reaches over 6 feet long, and it worked for a while. But what I started to notice, which was about a few months after I got the microphone, was that with my Mac, with my main computer that microphone plugs into, when I plugged in the cable, the microphone would turn on for a second and then turn right back off. And it would do that every single time I plugged it in. I restarted the computer. So maybe the plug, kind of got loose. Maybe something happened. So I was thinking, I'm just going to switch the cable out, and then I used a different mini USB cable, which I don't really have many of. I got a lot of micro USB, and then I've got a lot of regular USB cables, but I dug out a mini USB cable, and that one worked fine. It was a flimsy USB cable that came with my Tascam, but it was fine. It worked. So I was like, okay, this is going to be good, even though it is a foot-long cable. I got a USB extender, and then I'd been using that cable with it. The 6-foot cord would work on my laptop without any problems. It didn't do the thing where it turned the mic on and turned it off. It didn't have that issue. The cord that came with the USB mic didn't have it. So I was thinking maybe it wasn't getting enough amperage out of the USBs out of the back of the iMac, which is an issue usually if you have all of the USB sockets populated. Then in order to conserve power, it ends up putting out less amperage into each socket. So I tried unplugging all of the USBs, except for just the mic itself, using the 6-foot cord, but again, having the same exact issue. Maybe it was a software-related issue, but when that started happening, there was no software update, and then there had been many software updates since then, which has never fixed this problem, so it's got to be something else. Now, the makeshift USB that I was using, the one that, I got an extender for, the one that I've been using, which is kind of wrapped around right here, that one has been working just fine. That's when I got it plugged in here. It's not as high quality, at least physically, as the cable that comes with it, but I do make it work. But when I'm using the microphone with my laptop, when I'm traveling with it, then I use the 6-foot long cord that it came with, because it usually works with my laptop. Usually. Now I say this because this happened. You'll notice that I am not in my regular area of shooting. That's because I'm on location right now for a guitar lesson that I'm shooting for a buddy of mine. And the Razer Siren, being my main microphone, actually failed me in this situation. You can see that it's lighting up right here, and on my computer I have Razer Synapse open, and it's just not recognizing it. I don't have this mic reading in my laptop, even though it's physically connected. And when I initially got in to plug in the microphone and start filming, it would turn on and turn back off. It would turn on and turn back off, meaning it recognized that it was plugged in for a second, and then I don't know if it wasn't getting any power or anything. But with the 6-foot cord that comes with the Razer Siren, this is the longest cord that is at this quality that you'll be able to get kind of with the product without having to go and order something that, if it's braided like this, it's going to cost you a little bit more. So for 6 feet, I mean, the quality of the cable is good, but I'm just not sure exactly why it's doing that. And that kind of draws the attention to USB not being as reliable as maybe XLR. Even though I've had XLR cables go out
like batteries. I've had to go through many XLR cables before. It's just easier finding another XLR cable or having multiples of those than having these mini USB cables that most people don't really have, because a cell phone is usually charged with a micro USB cable or a lightning cable for an iPhone. A lot of these micro USB cables are kind of obsolete, or a lot of people don't really have many laying around that are over 3 feet long. So in a situation like this, if this was my only microphone, it would have been a disaster, because this is a paid video shoot that I'm doing that I would have been completely unprepared for. So fortunately, I have the Zoom H4n, which I'm recording on right now. I did have to send my girlfriend out to get an SD card because I was missing one. This is a dedicated device with a built-in microphone with everything kind of built inside of it, with more capabilities if I need. This is a little bit more suitable for recordings like this. Now, of course, if I was mixing a song, or if I'm doing vocals and I needed the Razer Siren, if I needed a condenser microphone specifically, maybe we would have gone to another microphone, or maybe we would have found something different. But for video production, my main microphone, being a USB mic, hasn't always been reliable, specifically in travel, because of problems like this.
So I'm not bashing USB microphones. I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy one. I'm not saying the Razer Siren sucks or anything like that. I'm just saying you need to be a little bit more prepared with microphones like that. You need to carry some extra cables, or you need to do something to compensate for what will go wrong with something that really shouldn't be wrong. Now, as far as software inside of Windows by itself, I personally had an issue with Sony Acid, which was my main DAW on Windows systems, where it just didn't seem to actually pick up the microphone. It recognized the microphone, it knew that it was in there, it knew it was plugged in. I read that the microphone was one of the audio devices within Sony Acid, but when I actually hit the record button, I got horrible audio. It sounded like it actually recorded the built-in microphone on the laptop that was next to the webcam, and it wasn't recording from the Razer Siren. But because of that, I had to switch to Audacity, and I actually always use Audacity with the Razer Siren when I'm on a Windows system. I usually have Synapse running. I'll plug it in, find it inside of Audacity, inside of one of the drop-down boxes for the audio units. Then I hit the record button because it doesn't give me a preview of the record. I hit the record button. I tap on the microphone a few times just to make sure that that's what's picking up and not the microphone on the laptop. And then I hit stop, I delete that recording, and then I go from there. Also, I am aware of the Razer Siren Pro, which has an XLR inside of it, but this video was dedicated more for the question of USB microphones in general, because not every USB microphone has an XLR option available, and the Razer Siren at the time of release did not have an XLR option, or else I would have bought that. So the takeaway from this whole thing is, if you have a USB microphone, get as many USB cables as possible for that particular microphone. Mine's a mini USB microphone, the one for the Razer Siren. There are USB Type B, the USB Doghouse type for some of the other ones, like the Snowball from Blue. So find out which one yours is and get a bunch of extra ones, because that's probably going to be your number one issue, besides any kind of software-related issues that you might have. If you guys have any questions, ask down below. Check out my FAQ Fridays, which this was originally going to be a part of. Check out my other videos. Check out my Cyrus Manton channel, which is more of a vlogging, fun type channel. Follow on Twitter, follow on Facebook, subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you guys in the next one.